Onions have layers.
Ogres have layers.
Onions have layers.
Get it?
They both have layers. Those lines are part of DreamWorks Animation's most renowned film, Shrek. Now you might be wondering why we're talking about layers. Onions and ogres are not the only things with layers. Rather, layers are the fundamental foundation for creating an animation. Good afternoon. My name is Nida Siddiqui, and this is Brianna Chiquella. As undergraduate interns at DreamWorks Animations, we're thrilled and excited to inform our fellow undergrads about the company's history, the production process, as well as about the future. Now I'm going to hand it on to Brianna to tell us about the origin of the name.
Now, DreamWorks Animation didn't automatically start off as DreamWorks Animation. It started off as DreamWorks Studios, and according to their website, it was founded by Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen. They began making movies that had normal actors, human beings, people themselves. They didn't do animation until Sinbad. Sinbad came out and it was only a two-dimensional animation movie. It was the last animation movie they made though, because they had a $60 million budget to make the movie and only ranked in $26 million, leaving the company in much debt. So then Pixar came out with Toy Story in 1995 and put major competitors onto the market. So then DreamWorks Studios had to do something about this, and they had to figure out a way to get back on the board. So doing that, they partnered with Pacific Data Images, and they ended up merging with the company in order to start making three-dimensional movies as well. Now after that, in 2001, Shrek came out. Everybody knows Shrek and all of the sequels, and Shrek was the biggest hit and put them back on the market. Now after that, in the fall of 2004, they began to the animation department spun off and became its own publicly traded company, and became, as we know it, DreamWorks Animation today. The CEO also became Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the founders, so he spun off along with the company. Now, DreamWorks Animation had its own company, but how did they make their movies? I'd like to speak to you guys a little bit about the production process and how animation comes to be. If you guys like to refer right behind me, I have images so you guys can refer exactly what I'm talking about. So it starts off with the origin. It has a concept, an idea. Someone comes up with this idea, and it takes about 3 to 5 years, according to the DreamWorks Animation website, to finish off the movie. This idea turns into a script. It becomes paper, words on the paper, the full idea process. And then they begin to etch it out and sketch, and you have your storyboard. Well, once this is all together, they're just simple sketches. But then they begin to digitally etch these onto paper, and you have a story reel. After this happens, they begin to do visual development, which are paintings, models, blueprints, things of that sort, without putting it into the computer yet, just to get the aroma and the artistic development of the movie itself. Stereoscopic 3D was invented in 2009, and DreamWorks Animation thoroughly uses it now today. This is because the animators are able to look at the objects more so than on the front space, but also revolve it to resolve any glitches that any animations may have to further engage the audience. After this, they began to put voices to the characters, and they cast the characters. Actresses, actors, it's not all about the face, but it's about the sound instead. Ears, not eyes. So then they began to model and rig these characters. In the modeling process, they put it onto the computer, but it's just a simple wire armature. Now this wire armature then begins to get bones and muscles and skin and act as if it was realistic, which is the rigging process. Now after it's rigged, then they begin to do the layout and put it to a background, and they like to look at depth and things and how it would act with the background and its surroundings itself. Then character animation, and the characters begin to speak. They begin to work, and they begin to interact with one another. After that happens, they surface. The simple gray backgrounds begin to have texture, fur. They have color, and all the simple gray things become more lively. Then visual effects happen, lightning, fire, things of that sort to make it more realistic. They add music, sound effects, and things of that sort, and lighting. It adds to the audience, drags the audience's eyes where it needs to be inside the film. All these are collaborated together to create the final mix of the characters. And that's how the animation process is completed, and you have the film as we know it today. I'm going to take it back to Nida to let you guys know about the future of animation.
Thank you, Brianna. So we're going to talk about the future of the company. In order for a company to ensure a successful future, they need to take certain actions and make certain decisions. For example, DreamWorks Animations has understood the importance of co-producers and mergers. Working with Sony, Universal, and Disney has allowed for variance in future opportunities and projects. Also, with rising competition and increasing movie platforms such as Netflix, DreamWorks Animations understands that striking a deal with Netflix can increase their chances of reaching out to broader audiences. Also, according to CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg, people are watching movies every day. They're not stopping watching movies. With that being said, animated movies are outselling films without animations. That just gives us something to think about. To conclude our presentation, I just want to touch up on a few major points that we talked about today, including the history of the company and the certain decisions that they've had to make over the past couple of years, the production process and the several meticulous steps involved, as well as the future of the company and the advancements to make. Thank you all so much for your time, and I open up the floor to any questions you may have.